You're listening to Real Presence Live. Now, back to more inspirational and uplifting stories and a look at the extraordinary things happening in our local area. Heard right here on the RPR Network.
Welcome back to Real Presence Live. My name is Lynn Devitt.
And I'm Brad Gray.
And we are so happy to be here for the second hour. A great show today so far. Up to this point, we've really been just talking about the liturgical year, from Father Seitz right away in the morning. And then we had Ashley Nia on just right before this segment talking about how to bring the liturgical year into family living. And now we're gonna change directions a little bit, although we could maybe at some point this will be in the liturgical year, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We have Monsignor David Baumgartner here from the Diocese of Crookston, and he is going to be talking about someone who could be another canonized saint from the region. So welcome so much, Monsignor Baumgartner.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome
Happy
to Real Presence
Advent
Radio.
to everybody.
Yes,
Happy
wonderful.
Advent.
So could you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little about Sister Annella?
Sure. I was born and raised in Hillsboro, just north of Fargo. I'm the 8th of 11 children. My dad was a car dealer. Mom was a nurse. So I am a graduate of the Hillsboro Public School System. And for college and seminary, I attended Cardinal Mintz Seminary in Fargo and graduated from Concordia College with a degree in long-term care administration. For seminary, I went to St. John's and then later to Canon Law School.
Oh, really? Okay. So did you got your degree first before you went into seminary, Father? Or Monsignor?
So a bachelor's degree, sure. Yep.
Great. So we're learning about Sister Annella. Begin by just telling us a little bit about her story and what we want to know about her.
Well, Sister Annella was born in Moorhead, Minnesota. Her family home doesn't exist anymore, but if you're familiar with the Fargo-Moorhead area, it's approximately on the street that passes by the Yumcom Center in Moorhead.
Okay.
So she was born in 1900, and from the time of her first communion, she had a deep desire to receive the Eucharist daily. So her family would have been members at St. Joseph's in Moorhead, and she would walk to the cathedral in Fargo for daily Mass for Holy Communion when she could.
Wow.
She was a musician, a piano player, and had a knowledge of her vocation from a young age. At the age of 15, she entered St. Benedict's Monastery at St. Joseph, Minnesota, with the support of her parents and pastor. So after her vows, she was assigned as an organist to two parishes, one in Little Falls, Minnesota, and the other St. Mary's in Bismarck, North Dakota. She suffered a terrible illness, a stomach disorder, and then a skin disease, which was never diagnosed, including doctoring at the Mayo Clinic. Her family and the sisters at St. Joseph and the Bishop of St. Cloud all agreed that when her illness became debilitating, that it would be best for her to be cared for at home.
How old was she when this was all going on, Monsignor? Was she a younger woman?
Yeah.
She died at the age of 26.
Oh, okay.
So her illness may be the last 4 years of her life in particular.
Okay.
Yeah. So she did die at the family home in Moorhead. Her family, her dad wrote a biography of her life after her death. And the family, I have one of the, you know how at funerals today you get a memorial card or a little folder, usually with the biography. So we have the memorial folder from her funeral. And the family indicated that she frequently prayed, "My Jesus, send me more suffering, but give me the strength to bear it."
Wow.
She received her suffering as a gift, as a purposeful gift. And the last words of her life were, "My Jesus, mercy."
Beautiful.
Yeah, there is record of devotion to her even from the time of her death. I've recently spoken with someone who was born in 1929, and she told me the story of when her mother was pregnant with her. The pregnancy was problematic, and her mother was told by the doctor that it was likely that the pregnancy could take the life of both the mother and the baby. And the grandmother asked for the intercession through the intercession of Sister Annella healing. So this was in 1929 or before 1929. And the baby was born healthy, and the mother lived, and the new baby girl was named Annella. So I share this story just as to demonstrate that there was a devotion to Sister Annella very early after her death, and it has endured kind of by fits and starts over time.
Yeah, I don't know how accurate Wikipedia is, Monsignor, but I did look her up, and it is interesting. I mean, even in 1931, so before that, there was a booklet titled "An Apostle of Suffering in Our Day" about Sister Annella's life, and it was republished in 1931. So that's 5 years after her death.
Wow.
And in 1957, they were sort of saying, whatever may happen, it looks like a doctor in the St. Cloud area, everyone can pray to her and have confidence in her intercession. So there may have been a little bit of local beatification there.
Sure.
But it sounds like, just like you said, Monsignor, she was known very early on to have led a holy and beautiful life, and they were and there were devotions to her almost immediately.
Yes, yeah. Praise God.
Yeah.
So, Monsignor, how did you come to be connected to her cause?
So I came kind of through a back door. The woman who has become the postulator is Amanda Zervas, who is a canon lawyer, and Amanda had a classmate from canon law school whose family received a personal favor. And through the encouragement of her classmate, just trying to navigate, it's like, how does the study of one's life come about? So I know in canon law school, this was not a course offered. So we eventually came to know Patrick Norton, who has his own story to tell. But Patrick Norton received a vision of Sister Annella in 2010, and he has become kind of the voice of the cause for this moment in time. And at first he was, just a voice in the wilderness, and in God's providence, his voice echoed into the ears of Bishop Cousins, who expressed an openness to the cause.
Okay.
So how I kind of became directly involved is Amanda was just doing research. It's like, how does a cause come about? And she discovered a priest who was an expert in the causes of saints, who worked at the dicastery at the Holy See. And she invited me just to sit in on a phone call, just to kind of keep track of the process and the appropriate stages to work through. And it's not complicated, but for people who don't have any experience, it's a lot of details to keep track of.
Yeah.
And we want to be faithful, and we don't want, to make mistakes. So we've continued with our canonical expert, trying to follow the process faithfully to serve those who have devotion to Sister Annella and to serve the Diocese of Crookston. So from that first interview, just helping to keep track of details, I've just stuck with the process.
So, Monsignor, I am so thankful to have you on right now. This is the beauty of our faith.
Yeah.
is we get to learn about these stories. And so, like I said, I just pulled up Wikipedia. So again, this is, the accuracy is based on the whoever's entering it into Wikipedia. But there's a question about, why did interest in Sister Annella disappear in the 60s? And they say that the rapid cultural secularization is probably what impacted it. And people thought the fact that she viewed suffering was not a curse to her. She looked at suffering, and you even said early, I'm okay with suffering. Just help me, just make sure I can get through it, right?
Yeah.
Share it. And it's so interesting to me. Brad Gray is here, and of course his sister-in-law Michelle died very young.
Yeah,
and
Michelle Dupont.
Michelle Dupont accepted suffering in a beautiful, holy way. It's almost like there's a new understanding in, and again, this is probably another one of those cyclical things in this world of looking at suffering in a very different way. And it's just kind of interesting to me.
Well, it is interesting, and Father Joseph Crater, who wrote that 1931 biography, gave her a title, an apostle of suffering in our day. And it is interesting that I think we just have to trust that causes unfold in God's providence.
Yes.
And there can be stumbling blocks along the way, cultural movements or people, or even stumbling blocks from within the church, a bishop not believing that Juan Diego encountered the Blessed Virgin Mary.
Right.
But things do unfold in God's providence and in God's time. And I've been thinking just the title that a biographer gave in 1931, an apostle of suffering in our day. It's like, well, that's our day. Mm-hmm. So I think unfolding now, it's just a message that we need to hear.
Yep. It also, in this article, it says, I think God raises, and I have to go back to see who it's quoting, Brendan King. I don't know who he is, but I think God raises up saints for a reason, and he makes them known to us for a reason. So just like you said, Monsignor, there's a reason that her name is coming back into the culture, and we're looking at her life, at Michelle Dupont's life, to understand that what we're made for here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mr. King was an advocate of her cause before Patrick Norton.
Okay.
So I'm sure, I don't know if we would ever be able to kind of trace every advocate of her cause through time. But we know kind of what inspires us right now, and part of it comes from Mr. King, and part of it comes from Mr. Norton.
Monsignor, can you explain the process a little bit? So it looks like Bishop Cousins announced the preliminary steps of a formal opening of the cause for canonization in October of last year. So what does this process look like? What's next?
Well, I can kind of give you a brief run of where we've been. Mm-hmm. So one of the issues is how does a cause come into existence? It's like somebody has to request it, and this is a pretty good canonical analogy, but maybe it's not a pleasing analogy. If you think of a marriage tribunal and the study of a marriage, somebody has to ask for the marriage to be studied.
Sure.
So usually, well, almost always, it's one of the former spouses. They become the petitioner. So in the causes of saints, if there is a trial, the trial regards the heroic virtue and holiness and power of intercessory prayer for Sister Annella, which the Church needs to have demonstrated. And so it's common for the petitioner to not be a person, but to be a guild. So a guild we have formed a guild. It's the Sister Annella Guild. It's a nonprofit in Minnesota, and we've achieved the status of a charitable organization. And the guild elected Ms. Zervas as the postulator, and the postulator offered the libellus, which is a petition to the bishop to begin the cause. And when that happens, then canonical stuff kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So then bishop has to do a consultation.
Okay.
So the consultation, which we just heard about, the portion of it that he did with the USCCB.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not quite finished. He now needs to consult the Holy See just to see if they have awareness of any stumbling blocks. And then if kind of there's green lights everywhere, Bishop can accept the libellus, and then the cause is open.